All right, so I did the example of the flour sack in 3D Studio Max. Now I'm going to do a version of Maya. And I would suggest that everybody looks at both of these kind of videos to get an idea how they work in both the software applications. Just good to know. You never know what you might have to use 3D Studio Max. You never know you have to use Maya in a production environment. So let's go to polygons, and I'm going to make the flour sack now differently. You notice if I click on this, it doesn't give me any type of parameters to actually work with. So what I'm going to do is hold down my space bar, say create, go to polygon primitive, and I'm going to click on the box next to the cube. Okay. And I want the subdivisions to be 20 all the way across because I want to have it so it can be dynamic movement, because if we don't have enough polygons, the deformers on the modifiers will be very stiff. Okay, so we have it at 20. So now I can just drag, click up, and then drag it up. Okay, and close that window out there. Move this down and rotate it. All right, so here's our flour sack. Okay, you see we have a good number of polygons to actually work with, so it's going to be a little bit organic to get our details, what we need to do. Okay, so before I add any modifiers or anything, let me go in, type in 300 to change my length of my timeline here. And if you click on this box here and you drag it, this will help expose all of your timeline. Okay, so that shows it from 0 to 300 now. Okay, so instead of having to kind of use the scrub bar to move, you just can slide this across the timeline itself to see where the keyframes are actually going to lie. Okay, so next I'm going to go in and we'll go into deformations. Okay, and then we have our different types here. Um, the one special thing with Maya is that you can work with the lattice, which gives you the ultimate of deformation. Okay, so it kind of combines pretty much all these guys here into one freeform kind of a deformer that can actually modify any type of polygon object to the fullest. Okay, but for the most part, we're going to stick with our basic bends and our twists. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the bend first. You see when I click on the bend, the flower sack turns purple. When you see it turns purple, that means that your deformer cage is actually activated now. Okay, so you have your bend handle, okay, and you have your bend shape, and then your actual bend here. Okay, so this shows where the handle is going to be, like position, things like that. This shows us what the handle shape can actually look like. Okay. Again, this is going into more when you start getting into character rigging. You're going to build a custom rig for that to show it. We don't really need it right now. Okay, and this is the actual bend that we have here. All right, so now if I go in and do the curvature, you see that everything's in the middle here. So it's now bending kind of like a mouth, or kind of moving in. So, you know, what I need to do now, and I'm going to just quickly undo that, or take it back to 0, is change this low bound to 0. Okay, and when I do that, it locks the bottom into place. All right, if I want to change the high bound to 0, it locks the top into place. So I can move this back in. And now you see now if I move the low bound out, it's kind of like he's jumping up in the air. Okay, so I'm going to take this, put that back at 0, put this back at 1. Okay, and then I can work with the curvature here, so I can kind of move this in back and forth. All right, so let's go in. Here's our curvature here. Okay, I can right mouse click on this, say set key, or I can go up into my animation, do my set key here also. Okay, so I'm going to stay with the deformers and kind of right mouse click here to get this started. So I'm going to start at 0, and I'm at frame 0. I'm going to go in and say set key. Okay, now we see that the curvature has a red field, so that means that the animation key is actually set. Right, and I can turn on the auto key here. All right, and kind of move things along. So I'm going to move this, kind of bring it forward. Okay, and you see that now it's automatically animating because the auto key is actually set. And I can bring it back, kind of flip back. Okay, so it's kind of like stretching, I guess. Okay, then have him set back up here. All right, so now if I play this animation back, turn off my auto key, and play, you see that it's kind of doing this quick kind of a bounce here. All right, so it's a little fast, but that's good. Okay, so now let's go in and so add in another deformer. Let's go in and add a twist. So what I'm going to do is clear this out. So I'm just going to select my pointer, clear out an open space. This deactivates the bend deformer. So now I can add on another deformer here. So I'm going to go in and add in a twist. Okay. So I'm going to go in and select it. Sorry. And when you select it, you see it turns green. When you add the modifier, it turns purple. Okay, so go back to my frame 0 here. Again, we have the twist handle, we have the twist handle shape, and we have the twist. You're going to be working with the twist. Okay, so that is going to the start angle here. All right, so go in, and again, it's high and low bound here. So we don't want low bound. We want it at 0. You see now when I start to start the angle. Okay. You know, I have a start angle at the bottom and an end angle at the top. Okay, so just to keep an eye on that. Okay, so you really don't have to lock this into place at all. So let's put that at -1 and work with the end angle here. Okay, because we need a little bit of this down the bottom to move to show the dynamics. Okay, because it'll look kind of stiff. All right, right mouse click, set key, turn on my auto key. All right, he's bending down now. Bending back, bending down. All right, so I'm just going to go in, set another key because I didn't do any animation yet. Okay, and then move it over a little bit more because I'm just a little bit slower. And I'm going to change the end angle so he looks back that way. Keyframe, go to frame 90. He turns around, looks back the other way. Okay. So now when I play this, you see the animation. So there's the bend, and it's kind of quick. All right. So again, you got to be careful spacing things out. I just want to show you this, how to actually work it. So I'm not really worried about timing to show you how the deformers actually work here. Okay. All right. So arrow off, and now we got a twist. We got a bend. Now we need something to give it more life. So let's go into the squash effect. Okay, so select on it, hit squash. All right, and here's our squash shape here. So we have a low bound, high bound, which you know that actually does. Factor. Okay, so that brings it down. Factor it in. If you want to expand, it expands it out. Okay. And then this kind of rolls it in, so it could be like like an explosion going up to going down. So you see how you can really get some good muscle kind of animation. Say if you have a bodybuilder or something to actually do this, and then you can see this start smooth to taper it off, and then end smooth to taper off at the top. Okay, so put all that back at zeros. Okay, so I'm gonna go in, say set key. Say set key, all right, because that's the span and the factor right now we can work with. So turn on my auto key, just down here in the corner, and go to frame 90 here. All right, and you know, when I do this, I'm going to squash this down, but then also I'm going to position this. All right, so that kind of stretches it down here. So I'm positioning at the same time. You see that it brings it up like he's actually kind of squishing down here. Because you got to do a little bit more dynamic of just kind of moving the actual shape here. All right. And then we can kind of expand out, you know, bring him back up again to make him tall. All right. So there it is. Okay. So now he's kind of alive, moving around here. Right? And now the only thing we need to do is physically move it. I didn't show this in the 3D Studio Max because it's pretty much a given that you should actually move these things as you're kind of animating them around. So just go back to Cube, and we're going to translate this. We're going to right mouse click on the word translate, add a keyframe. Okay, we got our auto key set on here. So he bends down. All right. So, and let's do one more thing. Let's go in and do the rotate too. All right. And you'll see what I'm actually working with here. Okay, so bend over here, and I'm going to have him kind of move over, okay, and then kind of rotate around. So see, this also enhances what's actually going on here. Okay, and then he goes that way. All right. So I can slide him over a little bit more. Okay. And I want it to look weird for a reason, because it's, you're dynamically showing this. Okay. So you want them kind of to contour out a little bit. Okay. So it's like he's kind of sliding over to the right, stands up, and he slides over that way. Then he turns around, slides over that. Because he's kind of spinning around. So you're kind of adding a life of him kind of sliding like that right foot back and forth there. Okay. So don't be afraid to not move the object to give it more life. Okay. The more life you add to the flower sacks, the more dynamic it will be. All right. So this is how you actually approach the assignment in Maya. Okay. So again, take a look at the video and then try a few examples and repost it again.